AITA for ruining my parents' lives at Christmas after seeing what was on my daughter's new iPhone? I know how it sounds. Like I am about to tell you the kind of story people only believe if there is a court transcript in a Netflix documentary, but this was my Christmas. We were at my parents' house, a two-story colonial in a quiet suburb where Haley and I live. After my divorce, I moved back in temporarily, as adults say when they are trying to convince themselves they haven't hit rock bottom. Haley and I share my old upstairs bedroom, my childhood sanctuary, where my child and I are now crammed into the same space. Christmas morning felt like any other Christmas morning in that house. The tree lights blinked as if trying to hypnotize everyone into behaving well. The wrapping paper was piled like snowdrifts, and the cinnamon candles burned so intensely it smelled like a Cinnabon had exploded. Allison arrived early. Of course, my sister doesn't just arrive anywhere. She makes an entrance. She walked in loaded with gift bags from Nordstrom like Santa's favorite intern, and her 12-year-old son Carter followed her with that natural confidence kids have when the world has assured them for years that they are the main characters. Carter is the golden grandchild. If my parents had a family crest, it would just be his face. Haley knows this. She doesn't say it out loud. She doesn't have to. She has learned the same trick I did. Smile, stay small, behave, and maybe, just maybe, someone will finally see you as if you matter. Haley was wearing her Christmas pajamas, and that cautious smile she saves for moments when she doesn't want to get her hopes up. She sat on the rug with her hands in her lap, waiting her turn as if she were in line at the DMV, not on Christmas morning. Carter, meanwhile, was already tearing through gifts as if he were in a competitive sport. New Nike sneakers, Beats headphones, a new PlayStation that made my dad laugh with pride, as if Carter had just been accepted to an Ivy League school. Haley clapped politely. She actually clapped. My child has better manners than most adults I know. And then my mom said with that cheerful theatrical voice she uses when she wants recognition, "Well, this one is for Haley." I almost missed it because I was busy watching Carter unbox another gadget and my daughter pretending she didn't care. My mom slid a rectangular package across the Persian rug. I saw the silhouette. I saw Haley's eyes go wide before she tried to control them and go back to being polite. She gave a quick, nervous glance, as if she needed permission to believe. "Is it really for me?" she asked softly. My mom smiled. My dad nodded. The corner of Allison's mouth twitched as if she were watching a joke she already knew the punchline to. Haley peeled back the paper slowly, as if afraid that if she moved too fast, the gift would evaporate into a pair of socks. And there it was. An iPhone box, not the latest model. Not the kind that influencers unbox with acrylic nails and a ring light. But still an iPhone, a real one, the kind of gift Carter would receive without anyone batting an eye. Haley looked at it as if it were proof of something she had been trying to earn all year. "Oh my gosh," she whispered. She looked at my mom, then my dad, then me, as if she were taking attendance, as if she needed to make sure everyone saw she was being chosen. "Thank you," she said immediately. Because that is who she is, because she has learned that the right words make adults less likely to change their minds. My mom watched Haley's face closely as if waiting for a stronger reaction. My dad also watched, silent and heavy. Allison leaned back on the couch, arms crossed, calm as a statue. Carter smirked smugly at the Christmas tree. Haley held the box with both hands and hugged it to her chest. She didn't even open it right away, she just held it. And my heart did a foolish thing. It jumped and said, Maybe this is different. Maybe this year is different, because apparently I am the type who touches a hot stove twice just to confirm it is still hot." My mom cleared her throat. "We thought it was time she had something nice for safety, so she can call you if she needs to." "Yes," my dad added. He always sounded like he was reading from a script he didn't agree with. "Kids need phones these days." Allison nodded as if she had authored a book on modern parenting. Haley was still smiling. She kept looking at the box as if it were love wrapped in cardboard. We didn't open it fully. Not really. My mom gave a long speech about setting it up later through our cell carrier and doing it right. And Haley nodded as if she didn't mind, as if she weren't vibrating on the inside. But I saw how her fingers kept tapping the corner of the box as if checking it was still real. A little later, when the chaos downstairs intensified and Carter disappeared into the family room with his new gadgets, Haley tugged on my sleeve. "Can we go upstairs?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I knew what she meant. Our room, our little corner of the house where she could get excited without feeling watched. Yes, I said. Let's go. Upstairs. She sat on the bed and opened the box as if it were a sacred artifact. She lifted the lid carefully, and there it was. Silver, sleek, and beautiful, sitting in its little cradle. She let out a faint sound, half laugh, half sob. I can't believe they gave me this, she said. I tried to smile. I tried to be the mother who lets her child enjoy the moment without contaminating it with suspicion. They really did. She picked it up and turned it over, and then she frowned. Wait, she said. Why does it look like this? It had scratches, not big gouges, nothing dramatic, but enough to catch the light, enough to make my face fall. My stomach dropped. It's probably refurbished, I said immediately, too fast as if trying to convince myself. It's normal. Lots of people buy certified pre-owned electronics. Haley nodded. She wanted to believe. She wanted to believe so badly that she could have convinced herself the phone was carved out of a potato, as long as it meant her grandparents cared. She pressed the power button. The screen lit up. A logo appeared, and then too quickly it went straight to the home screen. Not the setup screen or the welcome screen, but the home screen. Haley blinked. It's already activated. Before I could answer, a notification dropped down from the top. Just a banner, a few words. Haley leaned in, squinting, and then looked at me with that trusting face. What's wrong, Mom? She asked. I leaned toward her, and for a second my brain refused to process what my eyes were reading, because those words didn't belong on a child's Christmas gift. Those words didn't belong on any phone a child should hold. My blood ran cold so fast I felt like my body had forgotten how to warm itself. I didn't scream, I didn't grab it and run down the stairs yelling. I forced my face into a normal expression, something soft and reassuring. I said. Like it was nothing, like it was a weather alert. How weird. Let me see. Haley handed me the phone without hesitation because she trusts me like children are supposed to. I tapped it once, twice, just enough to see it wasn't a glitch. It wasn't just some spam message. This was a trail, a story, a disaster. And the worst part was the silent revelation that came next. Someone in this house knew exactly what was on this phone. I looked at Haley, still smiling, still hopeful, and I felt a crack form in my chest. I set the phone down carefully on the bed as if it were a live grenade. Sweetie, I said softly, why don't you go brush your teeth? We'll finish setting it up in a minute. She hesitated. But 2 minutes, I said. I promise. Haley hopped off the bed and went into the bathroom. As soon as the door closed, I picked it up again. My hands were steady. My stomach wasn't, because I already knew this wasn't just a mistake and what I had just seen would change everything. Haley fell asleep as if she had been hit by a tranquilizer dart and nothing else mattered. Of course, she's 11. It happens. I couldn't believe it. She was drooling on my pillow in less than 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I lay there staring at the ceiling as if it owed me an explanation. As soon as she settled, I picked it up again. I didn't do what I was supposed to do. I didn't put it away to deal with it tomorrow. I had already seen enough on that screen to know that tomorrow might be too late. So yes, I looked. The messaging app opened without asking me to log in. No setup or verification, just an inbox full of history. As if the phone had existed before touching my daughter's hands. And whoever had wrapped it didn't bother to wipe it. First I searched. The first thing that hit me wasn't a horrible message, it was the sheer volume of messages. All sent to the same person over and over again. The long ones where the tone didn't soften, didn't reset, didn't end. It wasn't a fight, it was a routine. I checked the call log. The same number appeared over and over, missed calls, repeated attempts, one after another, as if someone were trying to break the other person down with sheer persistence. The contacts were a mess. Random numbers, cruel nicknames, entries that seemed designed to ensure no one could connect this phone to anything real. And then I saw the name Sophie. A lump formed in my throat. Sophie was a girl from Haley's school. She wasn't someone Haley talked about much, which honestly made it worse. Because even if your child isn't involved, you hear things. You hear the whispers in the car pickup line. You see the sudden caution on teachers' faces. You sense how parents lower their voices as if the truth were contagious. Sophie had disappeared halfway through the school year. She had transferred, she had left. She simply wasn't there anymore. I remembered a mother saying her parents had filed a police report, As if that were the shocking part, as if involving law enforcement were the scandal, not the actions that had made a girl leave school. Now Sophie's name was on a phone my parents gave my daughter for Christmas. I didn't need all the details to understand the shape of it. I saw enough to know it wasn't just mean kids. It was sustained, planned harassment. A drip feed of humiliation and bullying that seemed deliberate, as if someone had made a hobby out of making a girl suffer. I went into the photo gallery and immediately regretted it. I saw a glimpse of content, a context of inappropriate images you don't need to study to understand, and I pulled back so fast my hand slipped. No, I wasn't going to do that to myself, and I wasn't going to let that hover in Haley's mind a second longer than necessary. I put the phone down and stared at it as if it were going to ring again, as if it were going to crawl across the dresser and continue its campaign. Okay, so how did this get into my child's hands? My brain offered the easiest answer first because brains love denial. It's their favorite hobby. Maybe it was Carter's old phone. That part made sense. Carter is the golden grandson. He gets upgrades like other kids get new shoes. A new phone for him wouldn't be special, it would be expected. And if he had kept an old spare one, well, kids do foolish things with spare devices, especially those who think rules are for other people. Maybe my parents simply regifted it. Cheap, lazy, thoughtless, but not malicious. And I could almost handle the thoughtlessness. Thoughtlessness feels familiar to me because none of this happened in a vacuum. Nothing in my family happens like that. Allison has been the chosen one for as long as I can remember. My parents never sat me down and announced it like a villain's speech. They didn't have to. In that house, affection has always had a direction, and it rarely pointed at me. When Allison had Carter, the favoritism didn't disappear, it just found a new host. Carter became the center of gravity. Everything he did was just boys being boys. He's just energetic. He has so much potential. Mistakes were ignored. A bad attitude was rebranded as confidence. Problems were smoothed over and became misunderstandings. Haley, my Haley, learned the opposite lesson. Be polite. Be grateful. Don't make noise. Try harder. Clap for Carter's expensive gifts as if at an awards show. Say thank you for his practical presence with the same loving smile every year. Get straight A's as if seeking approval. And when she helps clear the dinner table without being asked, she watches my parents' faces as if waiting for the moment they finally decide she matters too. I hate admitting it because I used to do the same thing. That is why the iPhone box hit her like a miracle. That is why she hugged it as if it were proof of something. That is why I allowed myself to hope for half a second, even though I should have known better. Now I was sitting in the dark with evidence of someone else's cruelty on a device meant for my child. And that hope felt like a joke I had laughed at too soon. I picked up the phone again. I still didn't know if my parents were just clueless or complicit. That was the part one couldn't solve just by looking at the screen. Should I wake my parents up, run downstairs and confront them, ask if they knew what they had given Haley, or would they do the usual? Tell me I'm exaggerating, tell me I'm being dramatic. Tell me to stop causing trouble, while fixing whatever was necessary behind my back. Downstairs I heard movement. A dining chair scraped against the hardwood floor. Allison's voice firm, quick. My mom's voice lower, controlled. My dad with a deep calm. They sounded normal, which in my family is usually the most terrifying thing because normal is the mask they put on top of what they are trying to hide. I put down the phone, walked barefoot into the hallway, and started down the stairs. Quiet, careful. My heart was pounding because whatever happened next, I needed to hear it with my own ears. As I reached the landing, I heard Allison's voice, loud, sharp, and my body stopped moving before my brain caught up. She will notice, Allison hissed. My mom's voice echoed, too calm. She already thinks it's refurbished. My dad spoke in a low voice, as if trying to keep the walls from hearing. She won't do anything. She never does. My throat went dry. I stood still because I have known my parents my whole life. And that tone, my dad's safe and calm tone, my mom's reassuring response, that was the tone they used when they had made a decision for me and expected me to accept it. Allison's voice again. The school district is involved. Sophie's parents aren't letting it go. They're talking about a lawsuit. My mom faltered because it was serious. There was a pause. Then Allison said softer, I didn't think it would go this far. My dad's chair creaked. It went this far because Carter wouldn't stop. My stomach clenched so hard I thought I would be sick. Allison raised her voice. He's a child, and my mom replied, and for a horrible second I almost felt gratitude until she added, Haley is easier. There was the part they said out loud without meaning to. Easy, disposable. I took out my own phone with shaking hands and pressed record. Not because I was thinking clearly, but because instinct is what shows up when shock disconnects you from yourself. Allison spoke again. What if the police get a subpoena for it? What if, my dad interrupted, they won't trace it to Carter if the phone isn't with him? My mom sighed as if exhausted by everyone else's incompetence. We gave him a new phone. The old one is in his room. It's in his possession, Allison. But now it's Haley's phone. My mom's voice sounded almost pleased. Exactly. Allison exhaled loudly. Melissa is going to freak out. My dad's reply was deadpan. Melissa is always dramatic. I gripped the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. And Haley? Allison asked. My mom interrupted, dismissive. Haley is a good girl. She'll be fine. Allison's voice sharpened. What, you think your daughter is perfect? My dad chuckled maliciously. Well, maybe this will teach her to be less of a goody two-shoes. Allison laughed. Just a little bit. And something inside me went terribly deeply silent. Because it wasn't just them trying to protect Carter. It was them choosing Haley as the scapegoat. Because Haley was easy, because Melissa was dramatic, because Carter mattered more. I backed away from the stairs as quietly as possible. My phone kept recording until I got back to the bedroom and closed the door. My hands were shaking so much I could barely stop the recording. Played it back once. Just enough to confirm it wasn't my imagination. It wasn't. I sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the phone as if it were radioactive. Haley came out of the bathroom with damp hair and her toothbrush in hand. Can I have it now? She asked, smiling. I forced myself to put on a calm face. A face of normality. Yes, I said. But listen to me first. Okay. Her smile faded. What? We're going out for a bit. I said it lightly, casually, as if I hadn't just heard my family offer my child up as collateral damage. A little surprise trip. A surprise. She perked up immediately. Kids love surprises. Adults fear them. Yes, I said. Go put on your shoes and grab your jacket. She ran to the closet. I packed fast, quietly, with controlled movements. Not like I was going on vacation, like I was evacuating. A couple of outfits, Haley's toothbrush, my wallet, chargers, the phone, both phones, the iPhone and mine. I texted my friend Monica with one thumb. Me. Can we come to your place? Now. Monica, yes. What's wrong? Me. I'll explain when I get there. I stared at that yes like it was a lifeline. Haley came back in a rush. Okay, where are we going? I threw the backpack over my shoulder and opened the door. Downstairs I heard my mom laughing again. Christmas music was still playing from a Bluetooth speaker, as if this house weren't full of people plotting to ruin my child's life. Haley skipped down the stairs ahead of me. My mom looked up. Where are you two going? Just stepping out for a bit, I said, and my voice didn't shake. A sleepover. My mom's smile tightened. A sleepover on Christmas night? Yes, I said. Haley is excited. Haley nodded enthusiastically. Sleepover. My dad narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he felt something slipping out of his control. Allison watched me too closely. Carter shuffled into the room behind her, rubbing his eyes. He looked at the bag, then at me, and smiled with his usual smugness. I didn't look away. I didn't say anything because I had his Christmas present upstairs, and it wasn't a phone. It was consequences. We walked out the front door. The cold December air hit my face like a slap. Haley tugged my hand. Mom. Yes, sweetie. Did I do something wrong? She asked, her voice small. My heart broke cleanly in two. No, I said instantly. No, you never did. She looked at my face, trying to understand. I squeezed her hand. I promise. And I drove straight to Monica's house, knowing that as soon as I closed the door behind Haley, I was going to set in motion something that my mom, dad, and Allison could never put back in the box. Monica opened the door before I even knocked, as if she had been waiting. She looked at my face and didn't ask questions, she just stepped aside. Come in, she said softly. Haley ran past us, instantly distracted by Monica's golden retriever and the promise of snacks. Bless children and their ability to adapt. Monica guided Haley to the living room. Hot chocolate. Yes. Haley sang out as if we were having the best Christmas adventure of our lives. I followed Monica into the kitchen. What happened? She asked. I dropped the bag on the floor. I held up the phone. My hands finally started to shake, now that Haley wasn't watching. Monica's eyes landed on the phone. Melissa, I heard them, I said. They gave Haley this phone on purpose. It wasn't a gift, it was a way to dispose of evidence. Monica pursed her lips. My sister and my parents, I said. My voice cracked. Everyone. I took a deep breath to regain control. I need Haley to be safe here, I said. Just for a few days. Of course, Monica said immediately. As long as you need. Haley's laughter drifted from the living room. I swallowed hard. Don't tell her anything, I said. No details. She shouldn't have to carry this. Monica nodded. Go do what you have to do. I left Haley with Monica. I told her I would be right back. I kissed her forehead and left before I changed my mind. In my car I didn't cry. Crying is what you do when you have time. I didn't have time. I drove straight to the local police department. The streets were quiet, with that strange Christmas quiet. As if the world were pretending nothing bad ever happens on Christmas. My hand stayed steady on the wheel, but I felt a tightness in my chest as if I were holding my breath without realizing it. Inside, everything was fluorescent, quiet, and painfully normal. I told them what I needed to tell them. That the phone had been gifted to my daughter, that it hadn't been reset, that it contained messages and calls related to an unsafe situation, that I had overheard a conversation and recorded it. I slid the phone across the counter and then my own. I believe this is related to the case of a girl named Sophie, I said. Her parents have already filed a report. This phone, I think it's part of that investigation. The officer didn't gasp. He didn't frown with dramatic flair. He just nodded once slowly, as if a missing puzzle piece had just clicked into place. They took everything, logged it as evidence, bagged it, and asked me to give a formal statement explaining the timeline. Christmas morning upstairs. What I saw, what I heard. When I left, I answered calmly. Not because I felt calm, but because panic wouldn't help Haley, and that was the only thing that mattered. They gave me a case number and told me a detective would follow up. That was it. No promises, no speeches, just procedure. That was enough. When I got back to Monica's house, Haley was curled up on the couch in pajamas, wrapped in a blanket that was definitely not hers, her eyes glued to a movie. Mom, she said when she saw me. Did you fix the phone yet? My stomach dropped. Not yet, I said, keeping my voice steady. The provider has to check something on it first. I'll explain later. Just not tonight. She frowned for a second, then shrugged. Okay. And went back to the screen. Kids are like that. They trust you to hold the heavy things so they don't have to. I sat next to her and tried to breathe like a normal person. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I ignored it. It buzzed again and then again. I already knew who it was. When I finally looked, there were missed calls piled one on top of the other. From my mom, from my dad, from Allison. Then the phone rang again. I answered and put it on speaker immediately. The three voices hit me at once. What were you thinking? Allison snapped. Are you out of your mind? My mom said over her. My dad interrupted abruptly. You went to the police. I stayed silent. They filled the silence quickly, like people who can't stand losing control. He's a child, Allison said. Do you have any idea what you've done? You're ruining his future. My mom added, this didn't have to go this far. I closed my eyes. A stupid, hopeful part of me was still waiting for it. A phrase, an excuse, a we didn't know. It never came. Instead, Allison said, the police are asking questions about Sophie in relation to that phone. My mom chimed in immediately. Did you know this was already a formal issue? Did you know her parents had involved law enforcement? My dad took a deep breath. We were trying to contain it. By giving the evidence to my daughter? I asked quietly. There was a pause. A decent one would have been nice. My mom said Haley wasn't going to have anything happen to her. Allison scoffed. Carter could get expelled for this. And there it was. They knew. They knew it was related to Sophie. They knew the police were already involved. They knew exactly what they were handing to my daughter, and they did it anyway. Something inside me went quiet. It didn't break. It just went still. "This conversation is over," I said. "Melissa," my dad started. "I'm done," I said. My voice didn't shake. "Don't contact me again." I hung up. Haley laughed at something on the screen, completely oblivious to the moment my family ceased to exist as a safe place. The confusion was gone. That was the hope dying. What remained was clarity. And I sat there clinging to that clarity, knowing there was no going back. 6 months later, my life is quiet. It's not the uncomfortable silence that makes you hold your breath. It's the good silence of someone who can sleep through the night without their phone lighting up and their stomach twisting before they even read the screen. After that call, I didn't wait to see what they would do. I cut them off. All of them. Numbers blocked. Emails filtered straight to junk, social media profiles blocked. When they tried to contact Haley through her school or by sending messages through mutual acquaintances, I blocked those avenues too. I filed for and was granted a restraining order. It wasn't a dramatic courtroom scene. It was paperwork, signatures, dates. A very calm explanation to a judge that no one who had tried to use my daughter as a legal shield would be welcome near her again. That part felt good. We moved a few weeks later. A rental apartment technically, but it doesn't feel temporary like my parents' house did. It's bright, clean, and quiet. Haley has her own room, her own door, and she can hang posters on the walls. The first night there she lay on her bed and said, "It feels like peace." That is how I knew I had done the right thing. I didn't hear about the consequences directly. I didn't want to. But news travels in families like mine whether you ask for it or not. Carter was expelled. The school district didn't ask him to transfer, they expelled him. They didn't cover it up or wait for it to blow over. Once the police investigation concluded, it was over. My parents didn't go to jail, but they didn't come out clean either. Attempting to conceal evidence by giving it to a minor does not look good when it is written down in a police report and backed up by a recording. Community service. Probation. I'm sure they will insist that the mandatory counseling sessions were humiliating and unfair to anyone who will listen. From what I hear, not many people are listening these days. Allison went from fury to silence. That usually happens when someone realizes that their rehearsed version of the story doesn't work outside the family circle. Sophie's parents sent me a brief message through a lawyer, just to thank us. Nothing dramatic, just relief. I cried when I read it, then deleted it. Not because I didn't care, but because I no longer needed proof that I had done the right thing. Haley is happy now. Not the polite, careful version of happiness, but the loud, messy kind, the kind where you laugh without looking over your shoulder first. And I don't miss them. I miss the idea of the family I wanted, but that family never existed. This one does. Comment. Thank you for sharing this space with me today. Sometimes we face moments that demand we choose between what is easy and what is right. I have learned that setting a boundary is not an act of aggression, but an act of profound self-respect. Our greatest responsibility is often to protect the peace of those who depend on us. True peace sometimes requires walking away from the table, even when it is set by your own family. Healing does not truly begin until you are in a safe environment to do so. Choosing yourself and your well-being is the ultimate form of kindness you can practice. You have the right to define what safety and love look like in your own life. I hope you always find the courage to build a life where you can breathe easily. If you liked it, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.